In the heart of the remote Alaskan wilderness, the town of Frostbite was known for its long, harsh winters and dense, snow-covered forests. The townsfolk were a hardy lot, used to the challenges of isolation and the biting cold. But as the days grew shorter and the nights longer, a new terror began to haunt the community. It started with the howls, long, mournful cries that echoed through the night, sending shivers down the spines of anyone who heard them. The wolves had always been there, lurking in the shadows, but these howls were different. They carried a note of hunger, a predatory edge that set the townsfolk on edge. One particularly frigid night, young Tommy Harrington went missing. He had been out playing in the snow, but as darkness fell, he didn't return home. A search party was quickly organized, their breath visible in the icy air as they scoured the forest with lanterns and flashlights. All they found were footprints, ending abruptly in the snow, and the unmistakable tracks of wolves. Fear spread through Frostbite like wildfire. The townsfolk huddled in their homes, locking doors and windows, and whispering about the old legends. Stories of a cursed wolf pack, led by a monstrous, supernatural alpha, surfaced from the depths of their memories. These wolves, it was said, were no ordinary animals. They were spirits of the damned, condemned to haunt the living and feed on their fear. The town's sheriff, Jack Reynolds, was a man of logic and reason, but even he couldn't deny the strange happenings. Livestock were found slaughtered, their carcasses mangled beyond recognition. Strange symbols, clawed into the trees, appeared at the edge of the forest, and the howls grew louder and more frequent. Determined to put an end to the terror, Sheriff Reynolds gathered a small group of brave men and set out into the forest, armed with rifles and torches. They followed the wolf tracks deep into the woods, where the trees grew so close together that the sky was barely visible. The air grew colder, and an unnatural silence fell over the group. As they reached a clearing, they found themselves surrounded. Glowing eyes peered out from the darkness, and the howls rose into a chilling chorus. From the shadows emerged the alpha wolf, a beast larger and more terrifying than any creature of the natural world. Its eyes burned with an otherworldly fire, and its breath came out in icy puffs. The men raised their rifles, but the alpha moved with impossible speed, darting between them with a supernatural agility. Panic set in as the wolves attacked, their snarls and growls filling the air. Sheriff Reynolds fought bravely, but it became clear that this was no ordinary pack of wolves. They were driven by something far more sinister. Just as all hope seemed lost, the sheriff remembered an old legend about the wolves' weakness, fire. With a desperate cry, he grabbed a fallen torch and thrust it toward the alpha. The beast recoiled, its fur catching fire. The other wolves hesitated, and the men seized the opportunity to drive them back with the flames. The alpha, engulfed in flames, let out a final, ear-piercing howl before collapsing into the snow. The remaining wolves fled into the darkness, their howls fading into the distance. The men, bruised and bloodied, made their way back to Frostbite, carrying the grim knowledge that they had only just survived. The townsfolk breathed a collective sigh of relief as the men returned. The howls ceased, and the sense of dread that had gripped Frostbite began to lift. But the scars of that night remained, a reminder of the lurking dangers in the wild. And though the alpha was gone, the townsfolk knew that the forest still held many dark secrets, waiting to be discovered by those brave or foolish enough to venture into its depths.